People who've actually slept with their step sibling or sibling. How did it happen and how was your relationship affected? Dad dated a woman. He dated a lot of women so it became normal. She had a daughter. We got drunk at a party. Hooked up. Real boy meets world it. Then they got married. And that's when we cut it out. Then they got divorced. And I'm still not boning her anymore. Slept with my former sister-in-law. Is that close enough? How'd it happen? She hated my ex-wife, her sister. My ex-wife cheated on me. We were drinking together about 6 months after it ended and she said you should duck me to get even. Relationship didn't at all change. We just know each other a little better than we used to. Both dating others now and it's like it never happened. Edit. Well, this blew up. No, the ex doesn't know. She'd kill both of us. Not even joking. I slept with my stepsister. She came in town for visit her dad and when I went outside to help bring luggage and she gave me the duck me eyes as soon as she saw me and instantly I knew I was in trouble. For a week and a half I kept being polite and trying to remain distant because I had been warned by my stepdad and her brothers to not even look in her direction, not bring any friends over, not do anything wrong, and I had absolutely no intention of doing so. But it was the first time I had ever had anyone want me that badly and I gave in and we secretly got together for the remainder of the month she spent in town. We were both young and dumb and fell in love and thought we hid it well, but when they found out after she left I got my ass beat. For a few years they wouldn't let her visit and we kept in touch. Then after college I moved to where she lived and we have been together ever since. 11 years now and we have a 5-year-old daughter and 3-year-old son. Everyone is completely fine with it now and we make jokes about it all the time. Edit. Feel free to ask questions. First kiss kiss? First bang bang? Do my kids call me dad or uncle? First time I met her mom or grandparents? How I explained things to my dad or co-workers. Lots of funny stories to share. Ah yes. Only a short few days into quarantines and we have already arrived here. It was weird. She just kept bending over a lot and saying step brother and asking me to help her with really easy stuff. Then I swear I blinked and she was bouncing on my cock yelling this is wrong but I love it. I've already started pre-gaming, so if people could start sharing stories before I run out of lube, that would be nice. Not me but my close family. My grandmother had 3 husbands, 4 children with all different dads. My mother's dad was sexually abusive and had been sleeping with my aunt, mom's older sister. They continued that relationship for years. My grandma divorced him and he married my aunt. So my aunt was also step-grandma and my mother's dad was also uncle. When he finally died I remember my mother saying I don't want to go to his funeral but I really think I should be there to support my stepmom. That woman has always had a warped sense of humor. I love it. I had a friend in high school that dated this girl for like 6 months before their parents decided to randomly get married. They, the parents, only dated for like a month. A few months later he is trying to set me up with his sister and bragging that she gives good head. It was very weird. Oh god. This is just bad. Okay, so, it wasn't my sibling, but a step cousin on my stepfather's side of the family. There is a group of kids and a group of us all around the same age. Whenever he have get-togethers, we teens always hung out until recently when we joined the adults. But I was 15. During the sexual peak I guess you could say, and we all decided to play truth or dare. Now, for context, I joined their lives after they were already 12 or so, and I was the only white guy. I was more their best friend of sorts than a relative. And I had been previously caught checking out one of the girls on the last visit. In my defense, she had worn a tight dress at that time which showed off her assets, so the 2 other guys naturally made me kiss her. For their own reasons I suppose. He and her kinda had the same expression of okay then, game on. So we did it. We were the 2 ballsy ones of the group and usually didn't back down from a challenge. Everyone did their hoots and when it was her turn, they told her to make out with me for 5 minutes. Again. Same mutual non-spoken agreement. That happened. This escalated until it got to them handing us a condom and saying go into the other room and smash. There was a mild hesitation, but we both, again, just non-verbally said duck it. And so that happened. Solid 8/10. We agreed never again and to never speak of it. Edit, a word. I lost my virginity to my third cousin by blood. Had no idea we were related until 6 months into the relationship. Open to questions though, but that's about the closest I can get to what OP asked. I hate that itch now though. My older brother dated our older stepsister. He was 15-16, she was 30-32. My mum was livid about it. Her dad pretended it wasn't happening. She was a bit of a sugar mama, bought him lots of nice stuff, flew him places. She took him to parties and did drugs with etc. Slept with him. My mum thinks she dated my brother just to spite her. I don't know how valid that is, wouldn't surprise me. But my mum was also a piece of work, and to get back at her and her husband for allowing it, she slept with her stepson. Don't worry, I'm still in therapy. ++. If people found out you slept with your step-sibling, you would get some stares. I was seeing a girl right after graduating high school. My dad knew her mom somehow, but she was married at the time. Didn't work out with this girl, but her mom and my dad are basically married at this point. Do half sisters count? It was the bottom half, if that makes a difference. This one's prob's gonna get buried underneath joke replies, but I accidentally boned my half sister while we were in high school. Basically, we had never known each other beforehand and we met in high school. She confessed that she had feelings for me and we started dating. About 1 year in, we started having sex. Fast forward 2 years and we graduate. Then she introduces me to her parents and there I meet my father, who I had only known from photos, since he and my mum got divorced when I was born. That's when I found out my then girlfriend was my half sister. We agreed it was a good idea to stop dating when we found out, and we're still friends to this day and rumored since rent is expensive in uni dorms, and no, we don't have a sex anymore. Only a few times cause we got really drunk. Just gonna drop this right here. My mom had a best friend. She died. Adopted her son who is older than me. I was 8. He was 18, and I idolized him. He took me shopping, out to eat, and just hung W me like a brother. I lived W my father. My mom dies. We both grow up. Run into him when I was 19 and that was a fun weekend. Now I'm much older. We still talk but we never talk about it. If you listen closely, Dart, you can almost hear the twang of a banjo in the background. Obligatory not me, or even quite step-sibling, but still a fun story. One of my dad's best friends, let's call him Rob, was partially crazy, admitted to a mental hospital briefly for running around town in tighty whities and trying to get into his ex-wife's house. I grew up around this guy, so it was great. He's dead now though, so the fun times are over. Anyways, Rob and his ex did have a daughter. Well, his brother and his bro's wife split at some point, and they have a son, Rob's nephew. One thing obviously leads to another, and Rob and his ex-sister-in-law get together. And you guessed it, get married. So now Rob's nephew is now also his stepson, and his daughter is also now stepdaughter to her aunt. Edit, I'm sticking with the nonsensical writing. Rob would appreciate it. My story is a bit different. My step cousin showed me her boobs one time. Me and her were chilling in my pool. Family wasn't there. She just asked if I wanted to see her boobs. I said sure. I think I was 14 and she was 13. Me and her have always been close and we can always talk to each other, which is awesome because we both have depression and anxiety, so we can have similar situations sometimes. Our parents met at our wedding. Mom was a widow. My father-in-law divorced. So we weren't step-siblings when we got married. But it still freaks people out. Confuse the hell out of our kids. Especially when I'd beg them to call me auntie when we went into stores. They were the devil's own in stores. When I was in high school, my parents went on a cruise for their anniversary and let me stay home. When they came back, they announced that they had met another couple on the cruise and had fallen in love with each other's spouses. They all got divorced. My mom and dad got remarried with the husband and wife, respectively. And then I find out that my step-parents had a son, and we're all going to live in the same house together. I was pretty understandably pissed at the time, and my step-brother was kind of an ass to me. But then one day I wake up to the dude ducking kissing me. Long story short, there was a shitload of drama and on again off again bullet. A big scare where we found out my mom and his dad had a one night stand like 16 years prior and thought we might be blood related. We're not. But we finally figured out how to make it work. Married for 20 years. My cousin-in-law, adopted, African. We used to play mommy and daddy, and our games got serious real quick. We used to kiss. A lot. We were 8 or 9 at the time, and were just mimicking what we saw on TV. The whole family knew, but never really cared. They did make jokes about it during Christmas, when we were older. Our current relationship is awkward but pleasant. We get along well, but you can't undo some memories of having your entire family laugh to you. I didn't talk to her between the ages of 10 and 17. She's a year younger, because I watched Harold and Kumar go to White Castle and realized how weird it was to have a relationship inside a family. Way too many branches on the family trees for me to keep up here. My cousin's stepbrother's mother-in-law's widowed uncle's wife's. It was years of sexual abuse and it literally ducked up my life. I don't talk to him and have made it clear to my entire family that I don't even want to hear his name in conversation. Huge family drama ongoing years later. I hope he does an awful death and burns in hell. So people really are this bored during quarantine. All that free Pornhub time. Somebody was bound to ask this question. I don't see how people can get upset or mad at you for sleeping with a step sibling. 1. You're not related. 2. If you're sleeping with each other then that means you have some attraction to them. 3. Combining 1/2 so it's normal to be attracted to other people you are not related to. People be trippin'. It's not their fault their parents hooked up. My Phil dated his stepdaughter first, then when they broke up he met and eventually married her mom. Needless to say it is one of my wife's family's more awkward stories. I can already tell that this comment section is about to be mixed by the true stories and the memes. Well, my single mother moved in with a guy when my brother and I were 16/17. Mom never married him but I guess he was a common law stepfather. My brother ended up married to his daughter and had 2 kids. Not a big deal as they weren't related but still kinda odd at the time. She got stuck in the washing machine, and I saw the perfect opportunity. My girlfriends, from 13-21, uncle hooked up and married my mother, in 2 months from meeting, when we were 17. We were both fucking pissed off. Yes, we did break up for about 7 months because every time we went anywhere people were giving us it for being kissing cousins. We got back together and married at 19 but moved and went NC with them until our daughter was born. They had divorced by then anyways. My sister and I are both sex workers. There have been numerous occasions when we've tag teamed a client. We never tell them, and I'm not really sure why, because they'd probably pay more for that. Anyway, it's always the most hilarious thing ever and we both have to try really hard to not laugh. To be clear, she and I don't have any contacts during these sessions. Sorry if that disappoints anyone. Usually one of us with put out tits in a dude's face while the other takes care of him downstairs. Simple. NGL, I'm excited to read this thread. Am I going to hear this read with a robot voice in a few weeks on YouTube? I had sex with my stepladder. Never knew my real ladder. My aunt's second husband ducked her 16-year-old daughter from first husband. Honestly not sure about details. It was a dark family secret my mom told me sometime before she died. This was like 32 years ago. They are still married and apparently finally talked about it 15 years after the fact. Family is ducked up. Lost my virginity to my foster brother. We were both foster kids and his room was next to mine. We shared a bathroom. The foster parents found out and shipped him away where he joined Jobs Corps. The foster mom tried to get him in trouble by telling my caseworker. Some detectives showed up to my school to ask if this was true and I lied and said it wasn't. He was technically 18 and they were trying to pin statutory abuse on him. I wasn't dumb. I wasn't going to let them ruin his entire life, so I just denied everything. Ran into him years after I aged out of foster care. I think 22. Back in 2012. We hung out for the day. By then I had 2 of my own children. Told him it was good I never had his babies. Made the meeting kind of awkward. I'm kind of an awkward person, so I was gonna write something, but it's unrelated, so you're the best big brother ever. I had sex with a friend of mine and then less than 24 hours later my brother did, so that was awkward for a while. Not me, but a girl I started seeing recently. Rumor has it her and her brother are oddly close. I just found this out from somebody who grew up in her town. Apparently they always seemed more like a couple than siblings. She describes her brother as her best friend, but his meddling and overall nosiness about our relationship has more of an ex-BF feel to it than protective brother. To use a metaphor of a trial, this source assured me they knew of multiple people who would testify to the creepiness of their relationship with specific instances. Obviously I can't ask her if she used to duck her brother, but after hearing that it was a pretty widespread rumor, it's definitely concerning. She and I had a one-night stand. Didn't know she was my stepsister until I found out that my father secretly got married to her mother. We never mentioned it again. Porn companies looking for new plot. Hey. My ex did this with her brother. They insisted they didn't, but unfortunately my friend discovered texts between the brother, her BF at the time, and the sister, my GF at the time, and showed me. I didn't call them out for it, just dumped the girl. My friend unfortunately gossiped to everyone at work about it. They disappeared shortly after, quitting their job at the call center we all worked at, and I haven't heard from them since. I have seen the brother occasionally on social media but otherwise have no idea what became of them. I knew a guy. He and his stepsister didn't grow up together. They didn't see one another often at family events, as he described it. Their encounters got progressively more flirty. They mutually decided to go for it. She was eager for him and he was too. He struggled over it. Our group of friends gave him a lot of it as we itemized the cons. He vacillated between repulsion and desire, and wasn't sure what he would ultimately do. Within a few days he texted us a picture of stepsister written in lipstick on a female's bare chest. He freaked out after, and felt really ashamed. Within a week they were at the same family party and she jumped on him in the bathroom. He had a pretty serious panic attack and went on some meds. Xanax. It wasn't all that serious. He settled down after they talked and decided never to do it or talk about it again. And he shared his Xanax. That was fun. Sucked my brother's D once. We just pretended never happened. Not to rain on the parade, but how did we get to the point where the distinction between step-sibling and actual sibling isn't that big anymore? Lyle sleeping with a step-sibling that you met when you were in your teens. Most of the comments in this sub is nowhere near the Sam universe as sleeping with your actual brother-sister. One is an awkward situation, the other is a ducked up one. Well, after I pushed a kid out of a tower window, things went downhill. I got my hand chopped off. It's okay. I have a gold one now. My kids are all dead. And some crazy chick is besieging my home with a dragon. My grandparents were cousins, lol. We're not from a culture where marrying your cousin is common. White British but not from Norwich. It's kind of a cute story though, all things considered. They had only met a few times until they met at their aunt's party. She was 18 and he was 22. He chased her for a bit but she didn't go out on a date with him until she found out he had his own car. I always loved her retelling of the story as she was what you'd consider a stereotypical gran, but she always giggled like she was so naughty back then for only taking interest when she heard he had a car. They went on a date and she said that she knew that he was the one and they got married a year later. None of their descendants have shown any ill effects of their union aside from our gills and webbed hands feet, but I consider that an advantage rather than a disability. Sadly she died 15 years ago. After 50 years of marriage my granddad has never been the same. Went on a vacation with my dad and his girlfriend, now wife, and her kids. One of her daughters started being very touchy-feely during a card game that we were sitting next to each other for. She said she needed to go upstairs to use the restroom. After about 5 minutes I said I had to pee too and she was in the bedroom next to the bathroom. And we kind of locked eyes in a way that I knew she wanted to mess around. So I went in and pulled my shorts down and she proceeded to give me probably the best blowjob of my life. We did it 2 more times on that vacation and everything stopped when we got back home. Relationship always remained about the same and there's no animosity, though we haven't spoken in a few years just from growing in separate directions. The church would like to know your location. Well, it all started when I broke both my arms. Just say no chromo and you're good. Help me big bro. I got stuck in the toilet paper fort. In my family, my great granddad married his brother's widow. His son, my grandpa, married his dead wife's divorced sister. I'm sleeping with my brother-in-law's sister. We've had 2 kids. I've slept with my blood-related cousin. We've always been very close and had been fooling around sexually all throughout our childhood, culminating in full-blown sex in our early 20s. Since our relationship was always sexual, it didn't affect things negatively. I've actually wanted to see a therapist about it for a while now. Not because either one of us isn't comfortable with it. It's more that I'm genuinely curious why we're so comfortable with it. Especially since the concept of incest grosses me the hell out in any other context. It'd also be nice to try and remember how it all started. We were very young when we began exploring each other. Well, we didn't have a sex. We just slept in the same bed because we're really close. He's scared to sleep alone, so I used to let him. That didn't affect our relationship. Made it better, actually. Shout out to my brother. Such a creative guy. Did with my older brother. I was using tons of drugs and meds at the time. He had a history of trying something nasty to me throughout the years. And I wasn't in my best judgments and actions. First time was kinda fun and I don't remember most what happened. Then, he would touch me all the time. Grab me and straightforward attacking me. One day I woke up with him on top of me and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I would have titled this post, Horny Redditors of Reddit. What is the sexiest sex story you are willing to share in glorified detail? Ah hell. Quarantine really brings the strange out of people.